Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. Well, my friends, welcome to the Winging It Show. Yes, we are here to wing it yet again. Episode 500 and something. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're not going to wing it. My friend Gayle Kalvert is here again. It's a repeat guest. All of my favorite guests are what I call repeat offenders. And we're also going to link to our first conversation with Gayle in the show notes. But without any further ado, Gayle, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, David. I feel honored to be back.
I know. And for the folks that don't remember, Gayle is also the founder and CEO of Creo Collective. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what it looks like when marketing is actually responsible for revenue. I know. The vapors. Everyone needs to sit down, pull over, get a sweat cloth for your forehead. It's going to be amazing.
I was just going to say, are we sweating yet?
We're totally sweating. We're totally sweating. Let me start out. I want to start out with some sending some love and kudos your way. I spent a little bit more time on your website just in preparation for our second chat here today.
Okay.
Your clients say some amazing, incredible, fantastic things about working with you. And so I think a lot of agencies and a lot of marketing partners, growth partners say things like this about themselves, but your clients are saying they are a natural extension of our team. You have CMOs that are saying, chief marketing officers for the unwashed, chief marketing officers are saying, I could not do my job without the team, without Gayle and the team at Creo. Tell me a little bit about how do you get such tight integration and collaboration with your clients? How did that start, and how do you propagate that with engagement after engagement?
The simple answer is that I've actually been in their shoes. So before founding Creo, I think some people who heard the first episode might know, but I'll repeat. Right before I started Creo, I spent almost 20 years in marketing, then business development and leadership roles in-house. And I don't think you can undervalue that experience. So when I started Creo, and as I mentioned last time, I started as a B2B copywriter, just freelancer, me and my laptop, which grew into what is now Creo Collective. But that I never let that go. So it's really important that as we grow, we continue to bring on team members at Creo who have worked in-house, because you just can't read, listen, or learn enough, I don't think, unless you've actually done that work and really felt the pressures. I think it's something we're going to get into today, and why revenue is so important to marketers is because when you're working in-house in marketing, I mean, everyone is your client. Everyone is your boss. It feels like every function has something to say about what it is you're doing. And marketing has really been seen as a cost center. We could probably have a whole chat about whether that's still the prevailing notion or not, right? So what we try to do at Creo, what I try to do, Gayle, for our clients is, how can we help you become a revenue driver, like a growth engine for your company, as opposed to being viewed as a cost center?
Yeah. Now, it's funny. I think some people who have never worked inside of a corporate marketing environment, they're probably thinking as they're listening to us, well, Gayle, hang on a second. Isn't marketing about generating leads, bringing in new opportunities, and teeing up the sales team to close more and better deals? What in the world do you mean that marketing is a cost center? Right. So people say, well, HR is a cost center, right? Say, well, we're just spending money on all these HR functions and compliance and benefits and payroll, and it's kind of a necessary evil. So that to me is kind of the traditional perceived cost center. For anyone who might be confused about, isn't marketing about making money? Isn't marketing about growing sales? When did it become that marketing was no longer responsible for revenue, and that rift has happened so profoundly and in such a widespread way?
Well, this may be because my lens is B2B marketing. I will put that out there right away, right? B2C, I cannot provide expertise on. And right, like if you look at consumer packaged goods and all, totally different. But B2B marketing, traditionally, marketing is a cost center unless you can literally tie revenue to a particular activity. In B2B marketing, when budgets get tight, times get tough, what gets cut? Travel, right? Recruiting, marketing budgets, marketing teams. I can tell you just because I lived it and I'm living it now through my clients. We see it every day.
Interesting. Well, I know that you have two fantastic success stories that really illustrate this connection between marketing, tying in very tightly with an in-house team so that it's almost indistinguishable, like, well, what's them and what's Creo and what's Creo and what's them? And also revenue. So do you want to start with your small company example, or do you want to start with the big company example?
Sure, we'll go small first. Small but mighty. Yeah, I wanted to give some stories to help this come to life, right? Because to your point, you could never have worked in-house and still have this perspective and bring this value to your clients. And that is by becoming an extension of their team. So very simply, what does that mean? That means really pushing to be part of internal meetings. You could be on the agency side, but if you are attending your clients' marketing meetings, sales and marketing meetings are where the real magic happens. Product marketing, right? Anything you can do to get inside those meetings and discussions is going to help you understand not just their pressures, but where are the opportunities for you as their agency partner to help them do better at their job? Where are the opportunities for you as an agency partner to help them better align with sales, right? And all of this, David, it's marketing, right? It's how do you as a marketer market yourself to sales? How do you as a marketer market yourself to the CFO, to the CEO, right? So this isn't about building a spreadsheet and tagging things in Salesforce. A lot of this it's political. I think that's where I excel. It's political, it's relationships, it's seeing the vibes. It's the vibes, right? All that, everybody likes to talk about vibes.
For sure.
Sort of making those connections. You have to market yourself. So the one company would talk about $20-30 million in revenue a year, just to give you a sense, right? About 150 employees selling very complicated IT product with long sales cycle. I imagine that probably resonates with some people listening right now, right?
Sure.
So this is about events. Events, I'm so excited. Like, events are back, right? People want to get together in person. Events absolutely do bring return for companies if they're done right. But I'm amazed at how often still people and companies are investing in events. They're sending some salespeople. They got a booth. They got some marketing going. They got some swag, and they want to know how many leads they got and how many meetings they signed up after that event. And the whole duration of their effort around that event was about 4 weeks before and maybe a week or two after. That is not going to lead to success, period. You can put some MQLs in a sheet, but that's not actually going to move your business forward. So with this client, we worked with them to put together an event program that was, we started planning for this event months before. At Creo, we have something called an event activation comms pack. It sounds complicated, but it's not. What it basically is this template. I'd be happy to share with people, but it is a template that your marketing team can use to plan out literally every moment of that pre, during, and after event marketing, from emails to social to invites to scripts, basically everything. And then also making sure that when you're looking at an event, you're not just thinking about maybe those top prospects you want to book events with, but there's partner channels, right? There are your customers that you need to, there's so many stakeholder groups that you want to make sure that you're getting return on. What we do is encourage you to look at that event as more than just, a one-time experience that you're trying to get ROI out of. Instead, how can you use this event as sort of one anchor moment in a long-term marketing campaign that's going to actually drive revenue for the organization?
You're listening to this podcast. You're walking the dog, you're on the treadmill, you're driving in the car. Wouldn't it be great to bring this message to your next association conference, corporate meeting, sales kickoff, or private event? I do keynotes, seminars, and workshops, and I would love to serve your group. If that sounds intriguing, just drop me an email, david@doitmarketing.com.
And am I right that this SaaS company, they were sponsoring an event, right? They had a sponsorship, which sometimes it's just like you describe, right? You're on some logo train, your logo is on the company website, it goes out in some emails. Maybe you get, a 3-minute spotlight at the event if you're lucky on the main stage, and then you disappear into the exhibit hall or the trade show area. What was this sponsorship designed to do? How did it work? What did they get? And then how did they leverage that into the revenue system?
So, the sponsor, there was nothing groundbreaking, right, about the sponsorship itself. Yeah. Like you said, they sponsored, we designed the booth. We had very specific moments organized at the booth to bring people to the booth, not about handing out merch, but experiences and scripts for everybody that was at the booth and working the booth to know exactly what it was they were trying to say. Again, I want to be really clear that it's less about the specific tactics. Anybody can call me and I can talk them through that. But what made the difference is that you could be doing all the right tactics, but what so often the companies miss is, what are we actually trying to achieve? What message do we want our prospects or our target audiences to walk away with after they have interacted with us? So not what is the merch or what is the thing we're going to put on the booth that's going to get people to stop so we can scan their badge. That is typically what's happening, right? For no fault of anybody. They need to get leads. They're like, we got to get people in here. We got to scan badges. We got to get demos booked. That's it. But nobody wants to stop and get on a list, right? You have to make it so compelling. You have to make it very clear when somebody walks by your booth that you might solve a problem they have.
Yeah.
If that doesn't come through, nobody's going to stop by unless there's something they really want, for their kid, or they've been dying for some new AirPods, right? That they didn't have. And then, but again, the point of the messaging is that then that also then just goes right into all your other campaigns as a company. What is it? Again, step back from the event. Yeah. What is it that your organization is trying to achieve? What are those revenue numbers? What are those deals? How is this event feeding into those goals? And making sure that you're consistently saying the same thing to those audiences well before, during, and well after the event. And then leveraging everything that you've done at that event after as well.
Anything else? Any other lessons we can extract from that one before we go on to the much larger company success story?
Consistency and messaging is so important, and I mean that with the sellers that are at the event as well. And it's like sales is always the most complicated part because typically sales and marketing are not reporting to the same leader. So I think like the biggest takeaway is making sure that you're planning all this well in advance, but also engaging with sales and getting that all organized. It's just a lot of work. It's just a shit ton of work, David. And that's the thing in like coordinating and meeting and getting people on board, and people are busy and they don't want to do that. And sometimes that's why it's good to maybe have an external partner who can do that work for you.
And also on a, not to trivialize it, but you have the time, the bandwidth, and the know-how about how to herd the cats, right? How to get what you want and need from marketing, how to get what you want and need from sales so that you can put this cohesive system together.
Yeah, like put it the other way. Like just think about it if you flip the script and you don't do this. Events are a huge line item in your budget. Right? Yeah. You have to be freaking out going into an event. I know, because I talk to those people all the time. What if we don't get the people in the seats? What if we don't get the leads? What if we don't get the meetings? Right. What is my CEO going to do? You're really leaving it all up to chance.
Yeah.
And I know I think it too. When people say messaging and consistency, I think, yeah, whatever. That's so obvious. But I'm telling you, in real life, I talk to these companies, I see what's happening, and they're just, oh shit, that event is coming up. Is what happens. So when you bring on somebody external and they can focus and they can do that work for you, you can breathe.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's move on to the big global tech company and give us a little bit of the backstory and then what happened there.
Sure. And this is not events. So this is a different, and I purposely wanted to talk about a totally different side of the coin, right? Sure. But again, it's about how does marketing really impact sales and why this is so helpful for you if you're inside of marketing, right? Yeah. On the other side of the coin, right? Huge global technology company, 50 billion in revenue, 20,000 plus employees. I worked at Deloitte with IBM, so this is really familiar for me as well. Again, when you talk about like how we're able to gain trust, if you're working at a company with 20,000 people, there's no lack of resources, and there are going to be a lot of people engaged in every marketing initiative you have, right? Sometimes that's great. Sometimes it slows things down. And you've got a lot of stakeholders that you need to align and all of that. And like what we see a lot with huge companies is we're going to market, I guess any company, but by product rather than persona, or they know their personas, but they're like, these products are really great and we need to get the licenses off the shelf.
Yeah.
And so what we've been doing for this organization is taking really, really complex products and creating messages specifically by persona, and not just one time, but consistently throughout the year. So how we kick off something like this, if you want to do it yourself internally, you can. If you want to bring on an agency, you can, right? Messaging workshops that have to be really, really targeted, right? Got to keep them on task. We got a lot of people giving a lot of opinions, but doing these workshops to really pull out what the narrative is for your marketing. What are you trying to say? And who are you trying to say that to?
Yeah.
Then taking those messages by specific audience and creating content journeys for those personas that again last throughout the year and beyond.
Yeah.
Not, well, we need a one-off claim. We need something for the CIOs, and then we've got the engineers and the developers. So we want to break through, right? I mean, that's what we hear a lot, and that's what we heard here. And we said, okay, that's okay, we could do that, but that's not going to get you what you want. If at the end of the day, this person's metrics is setting up 15 one-on-one meetings with a in this case, a customer, right? If you're dealing with a huge company like this, they need to get licenses off the shelf as opposed to not always selling new licenses. But either way, prospect or customer, they needed to secure one-to-one meetings, 15 over the course of the year. And they just weren't having the traction that they wanted. And by doing this really strategic content by persona, they've had incredible success and brought us to other groups within the organization to do the same work.
So by persona, we get that. But I think you also mentioned moving away from this kind of campaign mindset to more around the story, right? What's the narrative around what that CIO needs, what that VP needs, what that, all the different personas. Tell us a little bit about the narrative systems angle to this.
It becomes personal. I mean, it literally is about what is that person you're trying to reach? What is their day like? What is their pain? What would get them to take a meeting, right? Why would they take a meeting? What has to happen in order for them, right? Because that's not like a one-time, hey, we want a meeting, and like hook that up. No way. What is it? We need 17 to 28 touches now before you get a lead.
Yeah.
Is typical. So it's about the best. I had a guest on my podcast who's in sales at Cisco said, you ultimately are having a conversation with yourself because you have to continue to talk, right, and converse with your prospect. They're not responding.
Right.
But you're continuing to have that conversation with them until at some point it is the right time, right place, or they just remember. And book that meeting, or take the action that you were looking for. So, I think of the fun stuff, right? We do fun stuff too. So you create the narrative, you understand what it is you're saying, you're consistent with that narrative, you understand down to like these people's habits, pains, how to sort of resonate with them, and then you've got to be creative. Like we've done, like choose your own adventure, where that prospect can come and be clicking on things and seeing like take off on the kids' books, right? Like they get to choose their own adventure in the IT world. Do you solve the problem, or do you end up in more chaos? Like we're doing cool like whiteboarding videos and there are just all kinds of ways you can be creative. But what we see happening all the time that doesn't work is just being creative for creative sake. And you're like, oh, that's cool, right? That's a cool idea. And what sells marketers and gives marketers success internally with the C-suite is when you're having results, you're being consistent, and that creativity is actually creating some success along the way.
Really, really interesting. I'm wondering, out of all the different kinds of things that you can do, and maybe even as a springboard for both of these companies' examples, you mentioned that your own background is in copy and messaging and doing that. You now do all of these different things because you've hired all these amazing people that have this deep specialization, plus the in-house experience where they can really empathize and connect with your clients. Is there a favorite kind of project, or is there a favorite genre, if you will, that you're seeing a lot of your clients resonating with?
A favorite kind of genre?
Yeah, of either project or campaign, or so for example, is it content? Is it brand management? Is it go-to-market strategy? Because you do all of these things and you do all of them well. I'm wondering, if I was to choose, pick one of my children, they're all my favorites, but this one's really my favorite. They're all my favorites.
Well, on the client side, from what we see on the client side, content's not going away. I think everybody thought content was going to go away, the need for human beings to make content because of AI.
Yeah.
And I am surprised actually at the amount of demand we still have for content because of everything we just talked about, right? Because AI absolutely speeds that up and can do so much. Like I live with AI, but it's my roommate now. AI can speed up the process, can help so much in creating the narrative and all of that sort of work ahead of time. Yeah. But the actual writing and the creation of the content, like the ideas and how you connect with your buyer, not yet anyway. AI can't do it yet. Yeah. So a huge portion of our business is still actually creating content. And I'll admit, a year ago, I was like, guys, we should probably stop talking about content. But no, not going anywhere. Events, like we mentioned, I didn't bring that up, by accident. I think, again, companies they're just struggling. Like marketers are nervous and know that it's important. They've got budget for events, but people are inundated with content. People are also inundated at events. And it's always like, how do I break through and make sure that I'm doing this well and right? My favorite thing to do is to work with great people, to be honest. I mean, when you work with a client team who engages you and like lets you in and just lets you then bring your best work to them, that is truly where the magic happens. Those clients that are really stressed about everything and everything is yesterday and everything is stress, it's very hard to have success for those clients.
Interesting. Am I remembering correctly that you also have sort of a special place in your heart for video?
Yes. Well, I am not a cinematographer myself, but yes, we do a lot of video work. We've begun using AI for video, which is, very much encourage people to look at AI for video because what can be done there is amazing.
And when you say AI for video, Gayle, what specifically are we talking about? Is it a certain platform or certain kinds of AI video technologies?
Yeah, good question. I'm not the technologist. I can get back to you on that. But it is actually using AI instead of people to star in the video. So yeah, I've been in production. My ex-husband was a cinematographer. We owned a production company. Yeah. I did a ton of live production in my life, which is awesome and still needs to be done. But for B2B tech companies who maybe don't have the budget for actors or live video, the technology is really incredible and what you can pull off to have graphic visual content.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there.
Well, as we're landing the plane, if our listeners were to take one overarching concept from our time talking about marketing that drives revenue, and I'll say it again like I said it before, marketing that drives revenue, and revenue, what would you hope that one overarching key takeaway for them should be?
You do this every time, David. I find it really hard to come up with one.
What does that say about me? Go back and listen to the whole thing, folks. Go back and re-listen, take notes on everything.
No. But I always feel like people are going to think, oh gosh, really, Gayle? That's all you've got? But I do think it's less about the marketing tactic. As a marketing agency CEO, I'm here to tell you, it's not about the marketing tactic. It is about your people. Like, it is about the trust that you develop internally with your leadership and your counterparts. Really, it is more important than the tactic. And maybe that's what we're getting to, is like what we do at Creo. It's like, it's for us too. It's like about the fact that you got to trust us. You have to know that we've got your back. You have to know that we know our stuff. You have to know that we're going to actually deliver. That's how you build trust. And then that's exactly how you build trust with your ICP, right? How do you build trust with them? You have to consistently deliver. So I'm sorry, I don't have some like razzle.
I think that's actually brilliant. I think that's actually brilliant. And you've said it multiple times that it's not about the tactics, folks. It is not about the tactics. Because you can string together tactics till the cows come home, and then guess what? You're a cost center again. Instead of driving revenue, which is based on the people and the connections and the relationship, and your personal standing as from a CMO on down to the marketing team. What value are you bringing to the table? It's not tactics. The value you're bringing to the table is not tactics. Mm-hmm. It's strategy and insight and cohesiveness and a long-term view that will also on its way hit some short-term goals. But people that keep chasing the short-term goals, they're also kind of painting themselves into a corner.
We've done it ourselves. I mean, we've brought marketing in-house at Creo for ourselves. So I'm not only, I'm advising clients, but I'm also like the CMO for my own agency. And I can speak for myself. Sorry, I don't want to go too long, but you rush and you're like, oh, well, we got to do some marketing. I've done it myself. We got to do something, guys. And so you rush out stuff and it's crap. And it was crap. And it's scary to say stop. It is scary. And I have to do it anyway. And how many times I tell my team, okay, I have to do what we tell our clients. Like, we have to stop. We have to make sure now, and we are really, we can watch us in 2026. We are taking our own advice in 2026. It was like one message. We've got to have one message. And then whatever it is that we are doing from a marketing perspective, it has to be consistent and go back to that message. People are too busy. You have to repeat yourself a million times. Yeah.
I love it. Well, if people want to get connected and stay connected to more Gayle Kalvert brilliance, where can we go? What links should go in the show notes?
You're too kind. It's just GayleKalvert.com. Very easy. And shall I spell it?
No, well, sure. Yes, go ahead. Because Gayle is not the way you would expect, and Kalvert's probably not the way you would expect.
I guess not. GayleKalvert. That's me.
It's the Y and the K. Those people off.
I like to keep it spicy, David. Like to keep it a little spicy.
I know. Yeah. It's always the unexpected.
I'm from New York.
But you can also just click on the links right below this episode in the show notes, and you go right to GayleKalvert.com. If they want to check out Creo Collective, it is creocollective.io.
Yes.
I'm telling you, man, you are mixing it up at every turn.
I am. Keeping it interesting for you, David. And soon you'll be on my show. So we'll cover, we're going to put you in the hot seat.
That's right. And I always tell people that I spell my last name the right way. Like, is it N-E-U? Is it N-E-U-M-A-N-N? Is it two N's? Like, why would there be two N's? Why would there be two N's?
Why did they do that?
Spell it the right way. It's just like Paul Newman. Paul Newman, David Newman. That's how to spell it, folks.
I think of Paul Newman every time I think
I know.
of you.
Every time you see my face, it's amazing. It's weird. And that's because you're thinking about like dog food, pet food, spaghetti sauce. I don't know. All those things.
Think about how handsome he is. What a great actor. You've got it.
And those blue eyes. You cannot argue with those blue eyes.
No. Very
All
good.
right. Well, Gayle Kalvert, you're a rock star. Thank you again for sharing all of those wisdom bombs with us. And I cannot wait to see the next iteration of your awesomeness with all the fun things you're working on that we didn't even talk about. But, we'll have to keep people in suspense, or they'll have to keep an eye on GayleKalvert.com.
Very good. I like it. Good idea.
Let's do that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.